My husband kissed my shoulder softly, then stepped aside, giving me the space to feel what was about to come. He'd had his moment. Now he wanted me to have mine. The room was still, but I sensed the shift. They were ready. He leaned close one last time, voice low and calm. Enjoy. Before we start, please take a moment to like this video and hit subscribe. It's quick, simple, and means the world to this channel's growth. Thank you for being here. Let's begin. He didn't hold back. His body moved with mine, deep, steady, breath breaking with every thrust. The sheets twisted, damp and tangled around us. My legs locked tighter, unwilling to let him slip away. He kissed me with a fierce, aching hunger, like he was pouring everything he had into that single moment. His hands gripped my waist, desperate, as if I might disappear if he loosened his hold. It built and built, his effort, his focus, the way he gave it all. And then it broke, leaving him breathless beside me, chest heaving, skin hot and slick. I stared at the ceiling, catching my breath, but deep inside, something still moved, still burned. Again, I whispered. His eyes fluttered open, a soft, tired smile. Give me a second. He tried. He really did. Kissing my shoulder, dragging his fingertips down my spine, rolling back into that space between us, slower this time, pressing lips to my neck. I welcomed him again, moved with him, met every motion, encouraging him with my body. But I felt it. The falter in his rhythm, the way his breathing broke, the tremble in his strength. His muscles fought to stay steady. Still, I held him tight, kissed his cheek, his jaw, his mouth. It's okay, I murmured. He looked at me with that mix of apology and determination, but I wasn't disappointed. I loved him. He was still there, warm, close, trying. Yet somewhere deep, something stayed awake. It wasn't doubt. It wasn't emptiness. It was hunger. Not because he had failed, but because I was never truly satisfied. The next morning, he brought it up. I was at the counter with my second coffee, still wrapped in his worn t-shirt from the night before, when he came in, hair messy, eyes heavy with sleep, but focused. There was something unfinished in the way he looked at me. He leaned on the counter studying me too long before finally speaking. You ever feel like I'm not enough? His question didn't stab, didn't sound defensive, just calm, curious. I met his gaze. No. He nodded, thoughtful. But you're still hungry after. I can see it. I didn't answer right away, just held the mug warm between my palms. It's not about you, I said at last. You give me everything. I feel it. I love that. He stepped a bit closer. But it's still not enough. I looked at him, really looked. There was no shame in his voice, only honesty, maybe even something deeper that he hadn't spoken aloud. I drew a breath. I don't want more because you're lacking. I want more because I just do. He nodded again, quiet, considering. And if there was a way to give you that, without losing us, would you take it? I didn't move, didn't answer, but I didn't look away either. That was all he needed. He reached across, fingers curling around mine, and even though he said nothing, I could feel it. He was already making a plan. 2 days later, he came home from work with 5 men. I'd never met before. No warning, no explanation. They walked in behind him like they belonged there, smiling politely, nodding as they slipped off their shoes' coats, already half unbuttoned. I stood in the kitchen still holding a half-chopped onion. Dinner's not ready yet, I said. That's okay, he replied, setting his keys down. They're not here for dinner. The 5 men sat around the table casually, like they'd done it 100 times before. They didn't talk much, just small comments, work, traffic, something on the news. But I felt it, the way their eyes kept finding me, not in a rude way, not even bold, just watchful. He opened a bottle of wine, poured a glass, brought it to me. "You okay?" he asked. I nodded, but it came out late. He touched my waist gently, held me there for a second, then leaned in and whispered, "They're here for you." I barely had time to react. The words were still hanging in the air. "They're here for you." When my husband stepped in and kissed me, not a soft kiss, not hesitant, it was full anchored, like he needed me to feel him before anything else could. The 5 men didn't speak. They sat across the room, spread out along the far wall, past the open kitchen. The low light caught their faces, curious, focused, unreadable. Their eyes never left me. My husband's hands moved slowly. One slipped beneath the edge of my shirt. The other settled at my waist. He lifted the fabric over my head with practiced ease. Then, with quiet certainty, he reached behind me and released the clasp with a subtle flick. His lips brushed along my collarbone, his breath warm and steady. I didn't resist. He guided me backward toward the counter. Every movement was deliberate, unrushed, grounded, like he wanted this moment to be seen without a word spoken. Then, in one slow motion, he eased my layers away, piece by piece, until the softness of fabric was no longer between us. Cool marble met my skin, sending a ripple through me. He stepped back slightly, just enough to take in the moment, then leaned in again. His hands slid along my thighs. His mouth followed the same path, unhurried, steady, when his lips pressed into me with intent. I exhaled not sharply, but in a slow, staggered breath that had been waiting. He stayed focused, grounded. The pace of his touch was calm, thoughtful. He wasn't rushing. He wasn't putting on a show. There was something honest in the way he moved, like he was trying to speak through his presence. Alone, I braced myself, hands finding the edge behind me. My breath caught as a slow warmth gathered, layer by layer. Each moment pulled me deeper into stillness. I wasn't being held, I was being witnessed across the room. No one moved, but I could feel their eyes. Their presence hung in the air, impossible to ignore. My husband remained close, fully immersed, never once breaking rhythm. His steady movements built something quiet but undeniable. And then, without even thinking, my body rose slightly toward him like gravity had shifted when he finally pulled back. He rose slowly, his lips brushing my stomach, then my chest, then the hollow just beneath my jaw. He helped me turn gently, guiding me to rest against the countertop. My body followed his lead, my arms settled, my back shifted into an arch, my breath steady but shallow. That's when I saw them. The 5 men no longer still. They adjusted in their seats, jackets, unfastened postures, shifting. There was no rush, no need for words. The energy in the room had shifted, focused, intentional, quiet in its weight. My husband moved behind me. His hands returned to my hips, grounding me. He leaned in his pace, deliberate. I felt the strength in his hold, the way he moved in close, steady and sure. His breath warmed my neck and the tension between us came to life. I moved with him, matched his rhythm, let the pressure build slowly between us. I felt his focus, his presence, like he wanted to leave no part of this unspoken. I was his and he wanted them to see that even now. And I let them. A soft sound escaped him. Low, weighted. Then he slowed. His forehead rested against my shoulder. His breathing still deep. His hands slipped from my waist with care, trailing down my sides. He stayed close a moment longer, then stepped back. I stayed where I was, still grounded, buzzing beneath the surface across from me. The 5 men stood one by one. No chaos. No urgency. Just motion with purpose. Jackets eased off shoulders, sleeves rolled back. Hands, adjusted buttons. My husband leaned in once more. His lips brushed the shell of my ear. His voice barely audible. Enjoy. The first one stepped forward without a word. His hand settled at my waist. And I didn't resist. He moved in close, confident, steady. My body reacted before my mind caught up. I drew in a breath, rising to meet him. Overwhelmed by the closeness and the intensity of his pace, he moved with control, measured, deliberate. My hands pressed to the counter, arms trembling as I tried to stay grounded. Every shift in motion sent a ripple through me, tightening something deep inside, and then it overtook me. Sudden, breathless, my body tensed, then softened as a sound escaped me without warning. I didn't collapse. I opened, and just like that, he stepped back, his presence lingering as the sensation passed before I could fully recover. Another approached, taller, broader. He adjusted me gently, hands firm but careful, then leaned in. I gripped the edge again, my knees faltering under the pressure. His pace was different, slower, deeper, more deliberate. Every motion carried weight, drawing tension through me in waves. My breath hitched. I was completely still, held in place by his steady presence. The second wave came sharper. My thighs shook. My hands tightened. I reached for something I couldn't name, and then I let go, breathless and undone. But it didn't end there. The third moved in. Next, one hand reached up, curling gently into my hair, tilting me just enough so he could meet my eyes. He didn't wait. His movements were firm, assured. My breath caught in short bursts. My body jolted with each rise of pressure. But I didn't pull away. I leaned into it fully, not because I had to, but because I needed to. It overtook me again, louder, more intense. A sound tore from my chest as the pressure unraveled. Everything he steadied me as I shook in his hold, keeping me grounded while the moment passed. They weren't done. The fourth stepped in, and this time another stood in front of me. He lifted my chin with care, kissed me deep, slow, and then lowered himself into position. I welcomed him fully. He moved with purpose, nothing rushed, nothing forced. As the one behind me found his pace, the one before me followed their movements, aligned in perfect sync. One anchoring me with calm control, the other responding to the rhythm. I gave him. The pressure mounted fast, unbearable in its intensity. And when it crested, I let go. The sound low and muffled caught between them as they stepped back. The fifth moved into place. My body was already trembling, overwhelmed, unsteady, but I reached for him, matched his rhythm. Let the moment stretch again. Then, without warning, I felt another presence behind him, not replacing, supporting, enhancing one of them. Steadied my hips, another guided my legs apart, a third stayed near his touch. Light grounding me. They worked together, not as a blur, but as a single current moving through me. I wasn't lost. I was held, surrounded by something steady and certain. My breath faltered. My hands slipped. My voice broke as the rhythm between them found its peak. There was no urgency. They moved with absolute control, and I gave myself to it without resistance. One of them reached just where I needed, setting off a reaction I couldn't contain. It didn't rise gradually, it struck all at once. The final release hit like lightning. My back arched, mouth parted, but no sound followed. The force of it rippled through every inch of me. My limbs gave out. My body melted into the warmth that held me. I wasn't falling, I was being carried. Eventually everything stilled. The tension lifted. Their hands eased away, gentle and careful. The space around me shifted back to quiet. I stayed there, folded forward, breath, uneven skin, flushed muscles soft. Everything inside me humming, open full and finally quiet. Then I looked up. My husband was still there across the room, unmoving. Watching, his eyes were locked to mine. His jaw was tight, his hands clenched. But it wasn't anger, it was awe, and me. I wasn't reaching anymore. I was complete. Not every man is willing to let someone take his place, but some do, and it changes their relationship forever. So tell me, if it meant giving her what she needed, would you let it happen? I'm genuinely curious to hear your thoughts in the comments before you leave. Please, like, subscribe, and click the bell icon to support the channel and make sure you don't miss what's coming next. Thanks for watching. See you soon.